Hi, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Community Engagement Institute Spring 2024 Rising to the Challenge Workshop Series. Today's workshop is being recorded, and we'll be posting this on our YouTube later in case you missed it or you want to go back and watch it or share it with your friends. If we haven't met before, my name is Zane May. I work in organizational development at the Institute. If you're interested in learning more about CEI and the work that we do, we invite you to check us out on our website and also reach out to any of us to start a conversation. We'd love to hear from you and learn about the work that you're doing and share about the work that we get to do. Today, I am joined by Patricia Houston, who's the Director of Organizational Culture at CEI. She'll be leading us in our second workshop of the series. Today, Patricia is talking to us about how equity can improve our teamwork and collaboration. This 5-part workshop series that we are doing this spring is focused on enhancing how teamwork and ability can help us collaborate with each other better. I'm going to get ready to hand it over to Patricia so that we can use as much of our hour as possible for her workshop. But I do want to let you know if you have any technical issues during the meeting, please send me a message in chat. I will also put my email address in chat so you can send me an email if you need to. And since we have an hour left together, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Patricia to get us started. Patricia, thank you.
Well, thank you, Zane, and thank you for everyone that has joined us on today. I want you to light up the chat and let me know that you are here and where you are hailing from, where you are in the world or in the country. I see a lot of my CEI peeps, and I'm glad that you are here in this space. We're just going to have a conversation on today and just talk about how we can enhance our teamwork and how equity can be used as a key to be able to do that. And so I'm super excited about that. And I'm glad to be in this space with each and every one of you. It is my hope that I'll say something that will encourage and inspire you in your work and what you're doing. Salina, Hayesville, Marysville. Hello, Kansas, Conway Springs, welcome. Welcome. Topeka's in the house. Habitat for Humanity, wonderful. Let's see, Mays, Kansas, not too far, all right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us on today. As I've shared, I'm going to be talking about equity, the key to enhancing teamwork. And I put a little quote there that says, fairness does not mean everyone gets the same. I live by that motto. I thrive in that motto, the understanding, we say, it's not fair, as children, it's not fair, that's not fair. And we spend our time breaking cookies and doing all kinds of things to try to make things even, and to understand as we get older and in this adult world and in this world of individuality and the need to be seen and heard in order to bring your true self to work. Fairness means everyone gets what they need, what it is that they need in order to succeed, in order to thrive, and in order to be their best selves when they're at work, when they're at home, when they're in all of their spaces, right? So my objective on today and my hope is that I'll be able to talk a little bit about the significance of equity and teamwork, that we will together explore strategies for fostering equity within our teams, and that we'll come up with some steps of how to do that in our teams so that people can feel valued and empowered in their work. First question on the board. I didn't put any fancy Menti together or any of those kind of things because I just want us to light up the chat. But if you could grant everyone one superpower, what would it be? What would it be? Kindness, patience, empathy, self-awareness. Ooh, grace. Listening to other people's thoughts, listening. Cultural humility, yeah. Open-mindedness, the power to listen. Peace, understanding, right. Some endurance, yes, we need endurance. Respectfulness. Integrity. Yeah. Hope. Kindness. Self-awareness again. So we are all hopping in those veins of hope, of kindness, of patience, of empathy, of cultural humility, of those kind of things. So really talking about the things I thought I was going to see the ability to fly across the world, or X-ray vision, or to lift heavy things, or those kind of superpowers. The superpowers, I think I heard one where you can become invisible, invisible and hide from those kind of things. And so I love that you chose things that to me are the matter of the heart, the things that are within the hearts and how we do our work, not that how work is done, but how we do our work, and with our heart, with kindness, with grace, with humility, with patience, with those kind of things. So those are wonderful superpowers. I'm interested to know why we would think those are superpowers. And we didn't run to Captain America or Spider-Man or those kind of things. But and I understand it, but it's interesting because they're lacking. Yes. Because they seem to be sparse. Superpowers give us the ability to communicate. Excellent, excellent. So we are sometimes identifying the things that we think are lacking in our world or in our environment, and wish that we could just dole it out like little candies to people, right? That they would have these superpowers and be able to understand and see or act in a kind way or show some kind of grace. So that is wonderful. So you guys are right in the right vein and you are in the right place on today. And so I appreciate that. Today, I want to define equity in the text of teamwork, and to me, it is addressing any barriers that exist that prevent a team member from fulfilling their roles, that stops them from being able to collaborate, that stops them from being able to participate fully and wholly in the teamwork that you have. And equity is addressing those barriers. I know sometimes equity is seen as, and me and Zane talked a little bit before, as really addressing racial and those kind of things. But there are some things that happen in teams that can be addressed through equity. And it's interesting that we really do it in a way. And so we'll talk a little bit about that as we go further into this lesson. Equity versus equality. So important to understand the difference between these two because often they are interchangeable. Sometimes when you're in a conversation about wanting to address a situation, sometimes we want to just make it equal for everybody. We want everybody, this is the way that you enter in, this is the way you do this. And if everybody does this, they have equal access, equal ability to be considered for a job or that kind of thing. So we try often and we think it's equitable because we've made it equal and everybody has equal access. And so it was interesting. I did talked about even in a hiring situation, what that looks like in the application situation. And I was like, okay, so do we have a way if somebody has visual impairity to be able to apply for a job or be able to do that? It's like, oh, what? Wait, what? So the expectation is that they would have those things, but not that we would have those things. So in thinking about that, but we made the website where everybody can see it. We've made it easy for them to go in and fill out the application. So to us, it's equal, and that means it's fair, and that means that they have the same ability to access, right? And so being careful with that equality and equity, when equity is what they need to in order to respond to what you've made equal, right? So equity versus equality essentially means treating all employees the same and giving them the same amount of access to opportunities and resources. Equity essentially means treating all employees the same way. So while equity lays a foundation in terms of access to opportunities, Equity provides the support beams that allows the unique structure of our teams to stand strong. So it gives us a structure. So you may have an equal foundation, but there are some other things that need to be put in that to build the team that we're trying to build. It is difficult to achieve equality when equity is needed. What are your thoughts about that comment? It is difficult to achieve equality when equity is needed. Feel free to light up the chat. Tell me what you think. We think that's a true statement? True. Mary, thank you. In some situations, equality cannot be achieved without equity. Janine says, absolutely. But, and so what happens sometimes is that, okay, just because something is there doesn't mean everyone has access. Right. So that things feel fair. And equality is easier than equity sometimes. Equity often allows us to dig deeper into potential barriers, right? Before equality can happen. I love that, Christine. Barriers need to be eliminated before equality can really happen. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that. That is so true. So it's difficult to achieve equality when equity is needed, but sometimes equality is easier. It's easier to make a policy. It's easier to make a rule. It's easier to be able to put out this is how we do this, right? And it's easier to do that than to really deal with the individuals or the different barriers for individuals that are part of your team or part of your work, right? And so in that, because it also shows sometimes equality, when we put out those kind of things, show that we're trying to do something, right? We're trying to fix the problem. We're trying to create something to let others know we're working on it. And then this is, to us, this is fair. This is what's going on. I want you to think about a team that you're on. Do you know someone who is somebody on your team? Are they a different race or ethnicity? Are they older or younger? Are they different gender? Think about it for a minute. I want you to get them in your mind. I want you to get that person that might meet one of these in your mind. And if you don't have a person, then you need some diversity in your work group, right? As you think about them, I want you to think about them, and are they an auditory learner? Are they a visual learner? Are they a social learner? Do you know? Put in the comment, yes or no. Do you know? Visual, very good, Bailey. Georgina, I don't know, okay. Yes, visual, not sure. Social. You gotta love us social people. Very good. Yes, social, okay. Think about that team member again. Are they an empathetic communicator? Are they do they have a progressive mindset? Do they have a different cultural background? Hmm. Okay. Empathetic, very empathetic. Okay. Yes to all. Okay. Progressive. I love that you can recognize that. All righty. So knowing your team members. So the first ones we talked about, those things which are very seen, and then the other things come from working together and getting to know one another. So my key I want to give you on today, and I have 5 keys in this, but I'm only going to work on one on today. And that key is to enhance teamwork is equity is in the invisible. A key is equity in the invisible. It's really important to remember. So we talked about the question about the superpowers you would give. And we talked about a lot of those things were the things that they manifest, but they are inside. There are things that are a matter of the heart, which was great. But that in making things invisible, visible is a wonderful superpower. Making sure that you are able to see those things which are, so the last 2 slides that I shared are things that usually come from getting to know one another, watching how someone works, seeing them in their space and in their work environment, how they work, what kind of learner they are. And that's really important for you to be able to bring equity to a situation. The quote says, the strength of the team, the strength of the team is each individual member. The strength of each member is the team. So having the people around you to support you. Making sure that the invisible is visible is the one I want us to share about and talk about on today, especially when I desire to understand someone so I can communicate better, support better, and work together well. I need to see the invisible, especially when I desire to understand someone. Equity begins in wanting to understand someone and how they work in order for you to have a cohesive team. I want to be able to communicate better. I want to be able to support better, and I want to be able to work together well. And so it comes from getting to know. Teams are made up of individuals, and in order to enhance teamwork, we have first and always addressing the barriers that prevent that person from fulfilling their role in this team. So that comes from knowing it. So what that means in practice is that an individual circumstances have to be taken into account when promoting equity on the team. You have to think about their individual circumstances, how the invisible things that are going on with them. It's really easy to address what we see and how we see, and that's why you'll see us really talk about biases against races and those kind of things, being able to see that I'm Black, being able to see my color, being able to see those kind of things, or able to see that I'm a woman, see that if I have any kind of challenges that are physical, being able to see those things, we can address those things. But to get to know someone, we learn the other things that are in them, like their culture, like how they think, how they learn, how they see, or how they what I want to say, how they participate in the team and what's important to them and what they need in order to do that. So being able to do that, it can be a physical disability, mental health, learning styles, and language differences, for example, are all a part of an individual's circumstances. But they can also be supported by the rest of the team through equity so that all team members feel valued and able to produce their best work. That's what we call teamwork magic. Dealing with that invisible, dealing with what's happening there. This is the wonderful iceberg, and there's so many icebergs out there. And this talks about the things that we see above, and then the things that are under that we won't get to without relationships, without knowing, without hearing, without taking the opportunity to get to know. Members may face a range of unseen challenges that can impact their performance, their well-being, and their ability to contribute effectively to the team. These challenges may not always be apparent or visible. Remember back to the superpower of being able to see the invisible. Visible, but can significantly affect individual team members and then the overall team dynamics. So it's so important for us to be able to see below the waterline. How do you think that's done? How can you see below the water of an individual? Listening, having an open mind. Mm. Growing our relationships. Having a conversation. Go out to lunch. All right, Don, yes, feed me. Should I know all my team members in this way? Thoughts? Yes, it would be wonderful. Yes. Yes, to the best of your ability. What about observation? I love it, Treva. Sharing below the line is scary because people will sometimes use those things against us. Ah, Karen, thank you. Observations sometimes lead to assumptions. So you have the things that compete here. So observations can lead to assumptions. And then if I'm like Treva and I'm scared to share what's happening in me, right? I'm scared to share what I've been through, what I've gone through, or those kind of things. It's hard for you to get to know me or to know about me, right? But is it hard for you to consider me or to support me because you don't know me? Trisha says, in my experience, it's easiest to get to know the team members on the teams I interact with frequently, but it would be great to invest in getting to know everyone. Right, right. And so we find ourselves sometimes in those leaning to those that are we know, right? Or we know about, right? Or we see. Well, with all that great conversation that you have going on, we are getting ready to do a scenario. Uh, and in this scenario, I'm going to give you 2 minutes to reflect on the challenge of what's coming up. And then I'm going to give you 8 minutes to discuss in the group what the answer is or what you would suggest for this challenge. And then when you come back, we're going to talk about it. So I'm going to put it up and we're going to give you a couple of minutes to just read through it, jot down your thoughts, jot down what you might say. And then when you go in your groups, you'll be able to share. I'm trying to get rid of that awkward thing, when you're thrown into a group, it's like, who goes first? What we're saying, give me a minute. So I'm gonna give you a couple of minutes to be able to reflect. In a marketing team at a digital agency, there are 6 members with various backgrounds and learning styles. The team is working on a high-profile project to launch a new product for a client. Sarah, a visual learner who prefers diagrams, charts, and visual aids to understand concepts. Alex, an auditory learner who learns best through listening, discussion, and verbal explanations. The challenge is the team is facing communication challenges due to differences in learning styles. Sarah struggles to understand concepts explained verbally by Alex, leading to misunderstandings and inefficiencies in task execution. What would you suggest? So I'm going to call out a couple of groups. If you are in group 3, would you care to share what you discussed? That was Aisha, Marissa, Megan, Terry, and Miss Hazel. Venicia, is that how it's pronounced? Venicia?
Yes, thank you. I
Good.
will let Terry unmuted, so I'll
Oh
let her
no,
talk.
you go right ahead. I was like, nobody's gonna unmute. You go. Oh, she's gonna let me. So yeah, I was in that group, and it was Benicia that actually brought some kind of a insight to us. One of the things that we talked about was that we would try to utilize both learning styles when developing or developing projects or working on tasks together. But she mentioned that there's 6 people on the team and we're only right now focusing on 2 of them. And so we started that conversation of, what about the rest of the team and what does the team need to know about learning styles and things like that.
Good catch. Good catch. Because it's very easy to focus on the 2 that you're having the difficulty with, and it leaves the other ones out there, trying to manage as well. And so it's very easy to lean into the 2 that are having the difficulty that you're having difficulties with. Well, thank you. That was good insight. All righty. Call out another group here. Group 1, I see Katrina, Terry, and Trisha.
This is Trisha, and I can start, and then others can unmute and speak up as well. We also discussed how, the other 4 could and possibly one of the other 4, but we don't know the learning styles of the other 4. So is there someone that could kind of bridge the gap and help create an understanding? We also had talked about, just the 2 of them even sitting down and having a conversation about this is the way I learn, so that they both have an understanding of why maybe there's some communication issues. And then one of the things that we talked about too was if it's the 2 of them working together, Alex saying things that Sarah can put into a visual and then kind of go back to him and say, okay, so this is what I understood. So there's a chance to provide some clarification. And I know one of the exercises I've seen and I've participated in is even just taking like thoughts and things that are being said and putting them on sticky notes so that you can then organize them in some way. And so those can then, because a lot of times when I'm creating visuals, I'm trying to organize my thoughts. And so that can also create somewhat of a visual for somebody who has that sort of perspective in trying to learn.
Love it. I love the experiment and pulling in some things that you may already know about, like the stickies and those kind of things is really good, because sometimes trying something really new can be really hard to do. And so sometimes pulling from what it helps in that situation to be able to do that. So I love that. And prefacing is an opportunity to explore. It may not work, but let's explore this and see how this works. And then them communicating together. Great. I'm going to do one more group I've got, or is there anybody in that group that wants to share? Anybody else in the group, that group? I want to go to 9, which was Elisha, JD, and Kate. What did you suggest? If you're willing and able to share.
We discussed utilizing other team members and making sure that maybe there's someone who has the common factor of both of them. So maybe they could like mediate. And then we also talked about having like when you're presenting the information, making sure you're using both visuals and verbal communication.
So you alter the way you're structuring this meeting. Now, I called you Elisha. Is that how it's pronounced?
That is correct.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. The importance of equity and collaboration, which is one of those things I wanted to share about, as you talked about it and you went through that scenario. It's important because in employee engagement is important to getting a good diversity of perspectives. It's good to build trust and respect, and also to enhance the problem solving. Equity contributes to a higher level of employee engagements. When you're concerned about my invisible, when you're concerned and you are able to give me what it is I need in order to be able to access the resources and opportunities that I need to access, I'm going to be more engaged in the team and in the work that we're doing. Diversity of perspectives is so important, especially if your goal is to impact diverse communities, and as such, it's really important to have different perspectives in the room. It also gives you a ability to have a lot of solutions to be able to work for and work to and work together to create even a better solution. Equity encourages the inclusion of diverse perspectives, experiences, and ideas from the team. You want them to bring all of the things that make them who they are into your teamwork. Trust and respect is so important in a team. It is really, really important. When you have mistrust and there's really hard to share ideas or to create an atmosphere that allows you to get to the solutions that will make the difference in the work that you're trying to do. Equity builds that trust and respect among the teams and the members by demonstrating the fairness that we talked about is helping us get what it is that we need. All of us get what we need. Transparency shows that transparency when we have different learning styles and there's different ways in which we are operating in this workspace, and accountability in the decision-making process, that I have some kind of say or can offer some kind of solution in that decision-making process. And not just me, everybody. I'll say I use I a lot, but it's everybody. It's everybody on the team, no matter what you see on the surface, but it's everybody on that team that is able to benefit from equity. Enhanced problem solving. Equitable teams are better equipped to tackle complex challenges and problems. Why? Because they have such a diversity of experience, of their work, what they've done before, their ability to be, their learning styles. They are able to bring that to the table and be able to work on complex challenges. In our scenario, one staff is able to see things differently than another staff. And so sometimes you can find some of that hidden stuff. Remember, we're making things visible that were invisible. And so being able to see some of the hidden stuff by being able to participate in that team setting. So the importance of equity and collaboration is employee engagement, diversity of perspectives, trust and respect, enhanced problem solving. To do, I encourage you, some of the things that when you were going through that scenario, tune into the invisible. What is it that's invisible? What is it that one of the members may not have saw? When the one person is very visual and the other one's a talkative person, how do you think they perceived one another, right? So sometimes you have to make the invisible visible for those that are in there. So tune into the invisible. In our quest for equity, it's essential to tune into the invisible aspects that impact the team dynamic. This includes recognizing implicit biases, unconscious attitudes, and hidden barriers that may hinder equitable collaboration. Be mindful and attuned to those invisible factors. We can take proactive steps to promote the fairness that we want and the inclusivity that we want to happen in our area. Addressing barriers. Identifying and addressing barriers is crucial to fostering equity within teams. These barriers can range from systematic inequities to individual challenges that hinder what we call the equal opportunity. Remember, we said the equal you can't have equal without equity. Acknowledge different. It's very important that we understand that we're all different, right? Equity means acknowledging and embracing that diversity of experiences, perspectives, and the needs within the team. Acknowledging that. I know sometimes it's difficult because somebody says, well, why do they get that? And why do they have that? And why do we do that for them, right? And if we understand that we're embracing the individuality of us all, and how important it is that whatever you need is provided and whatever their need is provided, so they can bring their true self to this teamwork so that we can make the best decisions and do the best work that we can do in this space. So when we normalize this individuality and not I told you a little bit about being children and how we try to break cookies in half and do all this, but if we normalize that things are going to be different and things are going to happen differently for different persons, then it becomes acceptable that things are going to be different. But it's also going to be expected that what I need is going to be provided as well. And I'm able to, for my hidden things that I have or the invisible things that I have, that the environment is going to produce the ability to help me and support me to be the best team member that I can be on this team. Let's light up the chat. What might be your biggest takeaway from our time together on this morning? Let's see. I've got to go find the chat. Okay. Thank you. Tune into the invisible. Yes. Donna, love the invisible factor. Right. Right. Communication plans are important when working on knowing how people learn, knowing how they communicate, knowing how what their style is. Yes, individual circumstances. Yes. Curiosity. I often say curiosity really didn't kill the cat. Being considerate of the invisible. Yes. So let's make the things that are invisible. I want you to make them visible in your teamworks and look for those things. Look for those things that are hidden. Look for those things that are happening. Sometimes we think some of their behavior is caused and it causes us to tune out. But I encourage you to look for what's invisible, not what you can see, but look below that and try to get to know that and get to know what you can do in order to address the barrier that's happening in your teamwork. So remember, the equity key is the invisible. Make the visible visible. Make the invisible visible. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to turn it back to Zane.
All right. Thank you so much, Patricia. I am dropping a link in the chat that takes you to our evaluation. We would really appreciate to get your feedback on our evaluation. It doesn't take too long, and it helps us know how we're doing and what we can do to improve these workshops to be more effective and engaging. We also include a space where you can tell us what topics and trainings are going to be helpful to you in the future. And in the previous surveys, we heard that teamwork was an important topic. That helped us create this current workshop series. So let us know what else you'd like to see. We'll be doing another Rising to the Challenge in the fall, and we'll use your input to make something that fits your needs. This was the second workshop of the series. Next week, we have our third workshop with Teresa Cornejo, who's going to talk about the work of teaming. And I hope I can see you there. And please share these opportunities with your colleagues. And again, if you're not able to make it, we do put these on our YouTube page eventually when I get those edited. So you can rewatch those there, or you can share those with your friends or see the ones that you missed. Thank you all for being here. Please take 5 minutes back in your day to do something before you go to lunch or your next meeting that brings you joy and helps you take care of yourself. Have a good afternoon.